Ever find yourself watching some public drama unfold, like online or something, and you're just trying to figure out who sounds more believable? It's kind of human nature thing.
Right, totally. You try to piece it together.
Exactly. And that's pretty much what we're going to do today on the deep dive. We're looking at this whole back and forth between Papoose and Remy Ma.
Right. We've gathered what they've been putting out there recently.
Yes.
Like Papoose on his YouTube, clips from lives, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Remy Ma's side, mostly from her social media, some interviews she's done.
So our mission today,
Yeah.
for this deep dive, it's really focused. We're going to use only what they've put out there
Just these sources, yeah.
to try and see, okay, who's coming across as maybe more believable,
Mm-hmm.
whose story suggests they might be, more responsible for how things are now.
And who might be pandering a bit, looking for attention.
Yeah, that too. Plus the timeline, like when did key things supposedly happen according to them, and maybe what could be seen as the first big breakdown in trust.
And finally, based on what they're saying, are there any hints about how this could maybe de-escalate? Without getting even messier, it's your custom look based just on this material.
Okay, let's dive in. Maybe start with Papoose's side of things.
Sure.
What is he saying that might make someone think, okay, I believe him, or maybe see him as the one more at fault?
Well, a huge piece of it, probably the main piece, is the cheating allegation against Remy Ma.
Right, specifically involving Eazy The Block Captain.
Exactly. And he gets quite specific. He claims he actually caught them together in their own house.
He also said their daughter was there.
That's what he claimed, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's a very powerful, very specific image he's painting.
It really is. It's not just vague accusations.
No. And he adds another layer to this claim about a separate apartment that Remy allegedly kept just to meet up with Eazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So that adds this idea of it being like premeditated, planned.
Precisely. And for someone listening, that level of detail, whether it's true or not, it can initially make the story seem more credible, more concrete.
Yeah. Okay. Then he shifts gears a bit, talks about all the support he gave her, financially, emotionally.
Yeah, going way back, before prison, during prison.
And again, he gives examples. Packing up her house when she went away, moving closer to the prison.
Visiting every single day for a whole year, he says.
Paying for stuff, bail money, covering household bills, buying gifts. It's presented as this long list of sacrifices.
It is. He's really building this narrative of, unwavering support, total devotion.
Which, when you hear that, and then you hear him say she's downplaying it all now.
Exactly. It sets up this potential feeling of him being wronged, like his efforts weren't appreciated or being erased. That could definitely make some people see him as the victim in that narrative.
And he directly accuses her of lying about their history, about his support. He even mentioned her, like, deleting stuff from social media.
Yeah, implying she's actively trying to rewrite the past, control the narrative.
Which again plays into that idea of manipulation. If you believe he's telling the truth about that, it might make you doubt her other statements.
It definitely raises questions about narrative control, doesn't it? Who gets to tell this story?
Okay, now here's a claim that really jumps out. The songwriting thing.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
He says he wrote, 90%? 90% of her rhymes since they met.
90%. And he claims he has proof email drafts going back to 2016.
I mean, that's a direct hit at her entire career, her identity as an artist.
Absolutely. It challenges the very core of who she is professionally. Whether people buy that? Well, it probably depends on how they already see both of them.
But mentioning emails, proof, that's strategic. It suggests he's not just saying it.
Right. It implies concrete evidence exists, which could sway some people his way on that point.
He also threw in another allegation about a supposed relationship Remy had in jail with a woman.
Gotcha, bitch!
He mentioned Beth Hills and kind of put a call out asking if anyone there knew anything.
If you're gonna bring bitches in here, bring a smart bitch.
So he's suggesting maybe this isn't the first instance of infidelity, in his view.
Exactly. If people believe that, it could suggest a longer pattern, maybe making his reactions now seem, to some, more understandable, given that history.
Then there's the whole blackmail part. He accuses Eazy The Block Captain of blackmailing Remy.
Yeah, claiming Eazy has compromising videos, pictures of her.
And Papoose connects this to Remy supposedly being angry at him for knocking Eazy out.
Right. He claims she said she had to stay in contact with Eazy to stop those things from coming out.
Wow, that's messy. It paints a picture of coercion, fear.
Very complex. And if you find that blackmail claim believable, it puts Remy's actions, or alleged actions, in a whole different context. Maybe shifts how you see the fault.
Papoose also frames himself as someone who tried to fix things. He mentions offering her chances to stop the alleged cheating. He talks about them trying therapy.
Positioning himself as the one trying to salvage the relationship, yeah. Trying to work through it.
And he throws shade at her version, saying she's too focused on material things.
Right, trying to maybe discredit her narrative by painting it as superficial.
He also brings their daughter into it again, talking about her being upset because Remy's not around as much.
That definitely adds an emotional weight, aiming for sympathy, highlighting the personal cost.
And then, kind of out of left field, but maybe not, he admits he has a gambling problem.
Which is interesting. On one hand, it's unrelated to the core accusations. On the other,
It could seem honest, like, see, I'm admitting my flaws.
potentially, some might see it as vulnerability, maybe making him seem slightly more believable overall because he's not pretending to be perfect.
Really, nigga?
Or maybe not.
Okay, so that's a lot from Papoose's side. Let's flip it. Remy Ma's responses.
Fight!
How does she counter all this? And why might her side seem more believable to some? Or where does she maybe look like she's at fault or seeking attention?
Well, her main approach seems to be outright dismissal. She calls his claims lies, calls his behavior weirdo tactics.
So a very strong, direct denial, no mincing word.
Not at all. By labeling it weirdo tactics, she's attacking his credibility directly, framing him as erratic, maybe unstable. That could land with people who already lean her way or just find his claims over the top.
And she accuses him of chasing attention, right?
Yeah.
Saying he can't handle negative press.
Exactly. Turning it back on him, suggesting his motive is attention, maybe because of his
Finish him!
current come-up, as she put it.
And she released those text messages. That seemed like a big move.
Oh, definitely. Texts supposedly from him, seemingly wanting to reconcile.
Which totally clashes with his narrative of being the wronged husband, pushing for divorce because of her actions.
Right. It introduces evidence or apparent evidence that contradicts his story. For anyone watching, seeing those texts could really shift their perception of who's being more truthful about wanting the relationship to end and why.
Fatality.
She also made that statement like, the lady that gave you grace is gone.
Yeah, signaling a change. Like, she's done being quiet or maybe taking the high road. She's fighting back now.
And she clarified that shots to Africa comment he apparently made, saying it was about pills and his health insurance.
Trying to shut down a specific, potentially damaging or confusing point he made, making her side clearer on that detail.
She also mentioned he has her blocked on social media.
Which is interesting, right? If he's blocked her, his continued public commentary about her feels different. Less like trying to communicate with her, maybe more performative for an audience.
That's a good point.
Bruh.
And the songwriting claim, she flat out denies it.
Vehemently denies it, and she offers a different reason for why he'd say that.
Professional jealousy, because she's seen as the better rapper.
That's her counter-narrative. It reframes his motive entirely from hurt partner to resentful colleague, almost. That could resonate with people who really respect her artistry.
Then she hits back with her own major allegations,
Big ones. Claiming he blackmailed her.
with threats of releasing sex tapes.
Yeah. What? And she disputes his whole story about knocking Eazy out. What? Says it was a lie, that they all agreed to keep quiet about whatever happened at her event.
Why? To protect Papoose's job.
That's what she claimed, yeah. Because of his job security concerns. So if you believe her version of those events...
It completely flips the script.
Yeah.
It makes Papoose look potentially manipulative, even abusive.
It absolutely changes the perception of who might be more at fault, who's using threats.
She also suggests other motives for his anger, like her not promoting his business venture, TuneCore.
Uh-huh. And she claims people only respected him because of her on the strength of me, she said.
Ouch.
Another one.
That definitely paints a picture of a potential insecurity or resentment on his part.
And she mentioned him being devastated, that Eazy, who she described as just a regular guy with a pension and 401k, treated her well.
Implying Papoose's ego was bruised, maybe more than his heart.
That's the narrative she's putting forward, that his reactions are driven by ego, entitlement, maybe a desire for attention, rather than just betrayal.
She mentions helping him set up his battle league, too, and says he keeps digging up old pictures of Eazy.
Suggesting an obsession, maybe? That he can't let it go?
And she brought up his alleged surveillance of her.
Right, adding to this picture of potentially controlling behavior. It all contributes to her narrative that his actions aren't just those of a heartbroken husband telling his truth.
Okay, so what about the divorce itself? How does she frame that?
Her stance seems pretty clear. She wants a clean break. She says she doesn't want his money or possessions.
Just her jewelry back. She filed a police report about that.
Yeah, Dawn Coat mentioned filing a complaint about missing jewelry, and she insists the core issues weren't about cheating, but about his control issues.
She also claims he hasn't actually hired a divorce lawyer yet.
Suggesting maybe he's dragging his feet, not serious about finalizing it despite filing. Her whole position seems aimed at portraying herself as the reasonable one, just wanting to move on.
And she finishes with some pretty personal jabs, right? About his relationship with their daughter, his son.
Yeah, giving her perspective on his alleged treatment of their daughter, claiming he doesn't have a good relationship with his older son. She calls him very entitled, very needy.
And confirms she filed for divorce too.
Right. So those final comments really solidify her negative portrayal of his character, potentially swaying listeners who find those descriptions believable.
So if we try and piece together a timeline from all this, it seems like things go way back.
Definitely. References to her prison time, but the alleged cheating starting around 2022.
Then the Eazy incident.
Round
Whatever
2.
actually happened.
Fight!
Papoose meeting this Clarissa person in July 2024.
Remy saying they haven't shared a bed since May 2022. That's significant. Over 3 years ago now.
Papoose filing for divorce just recently, May 2025 apparently. And Remy has an event coming up soon.
Yeah, the timeline suggests this has been brewing for a long, long time. It wasn't just one thing that suddenly blew up, even if the public part did. That May 2022 date from Remy really points to deep issues predating the recent drama.
And what about the attention-seeking angle? Both seem to accuse the other.
It's classic, isn't it? Papoose' first livestream title even had clout chasing in it, like he knew it was coming.
And Remy directly says he's posting because of his current come-up.
Given her much larger platform, her accusation might land more easily for some people, like, why is he making all this noise now? But his side would be, he had to speak his truth.
Huh.
It's hard to say definitively who's really doing it for attention. Maybe both, to some extent.
Probably. So the first violation of trust, if you're listening to Papoose.
It seems pretty clearly the alleged cheating, the infidelity with Eazy, and maybe that earlier alleged jailhouse relationship. That seems to be the foundation of his grievance, betrayal.
But if you're leaning towards Remy's side,
It's more complex, maybe. It could be the alleged surveillance, the blackmail threats she accuses him of, the lying about writing her music. She paints a picture of a pattern of controlling, dishonest behavior over time.
so for her, it might not be one single event, but this buildup of things she saw as controlling or manipulative.
That seems to be her perspective. Less about one specific act of infidelity breaking the trust, and more about a fundamental lack of trust built up over years due to his alleged actions and behavior.
Okay, so given these two very different narratives, very different views on who wronged who first, what about ending this? Are there any clues in what they're saying about how it could stop getting worse?
Well, Remy Ma seems pretty explicit about wanting out.
Right. Clean break, lawyer involved, wants him to stop talking about her online.
She expresses willingness to co-parent, but just wants to move on with her life. Her stated position offers a clear, if difficult, path: finalize the divorce, stop the public attacks, focus on co-parenting.
Her lack of financial demands could also be seen as supporting that desire for a clean split.
It could, yeah. It simplifies one potential area of conflict anyway.
But Papoose,
Yeah.
his continued posting, the detailed grievances, it doesn't exactly sound like someone ready for a quiet resolution.
Not immediately, no. His focus seems to be very much on getting his side heard, getting validation for his version of events, his feelings of being wronged.
So there's a mismatch there in what they seem to want right now. She seems to want closure. He seems to want indication, acknowledgement.
That's how it appears based on these statements, yes. And that difference makes a smooth, quick, quiet resolution seem, well, less likely in the immediate future, unless something changes in their approach.
It's just incredibly messy. Two totally conflicting stories, intense emotions, careers tangled up in it, a child involved.
Absolutely. And trying to sort out believability or fault based only on their public statements, it's really subjective. It depends so much on what resonates with you, maybe biases you already have.
We've kind of laid out the arguments who might seem more credible based on their claims, who the narratives point to as potentially more responsible, the attention angle, the timeline, the different views on that first betrayal, and the slim path to maybe calming things down.
Yeah, and ultimately watching this play out so publicly, it really makes you think, doesn't it? How hard it is to know the real truth in any relationship dispute, especially when it becomes entertainment or fodder for clicks.
For sure. It's a reminder to maybe be critical of the narratives we're fed And think about the motivations behind people airing this stuff so openly. What does it really achieve and who does it serve when things get this public? Something to chew on.
Hey, yeah. Listen, baby. Started noticing changes in the way you move. Phone always face down when I'm in the room. Making up excuses why you out so late. Said you with your girls, but that ain't what they say. My homie saw you out in passenger side with some dude I'd never seen in my life. He used to text back quick, now it's hours late. Something ain't adding up, I ain't stupid, babe. And everybody talking, but you keep on walking like you ain't doing nothing wrong. But baby, I know, yeah, I know. Word on the street is you ain't true to me. Got people hitting my line about you and he say they see you moving funny in these streets. Now I gotta face what you've been hiding from me. Yo, pulled up to the spot where they said you be. Ain't even surprised when I had to see you all up on him like he was me. Acting real bold like you ain't have a G. I got screenshots, I got witnesses. Your whole story full of differences. Think you slick but you ain't really that smart. Playing games while I'm investing my heart. Man, I gave you everything you could need, but you out here acting like a wannabe. Free spirit, yeah, that's what you called it, but I call it what it is, dishonest. And everybody talking, but you keep on walking like you ain't doing nothing wrong. But baby, I know, yeah, I know. Word on the street is you ain't true to me. Got people hitting my lie about you and he say they see you moving funny in these streets. Now I gotta face what you've been hiding from me. Tonight I'm pulling up to your favorite spot where you think nobody knows what you got, but everybody's watching when you walk in with your new man, nosy girlfriend's talking. Hey, surprise baby, look who's here. You're caught red-handed like you don't care. Now the whole crowd watching you turn red. Should've listened to what everybody said.